Okay, so let's take a quick recap of what we did in the last lecture. To go. Yeah, so we discussed in detail about head-on collisions and about the definition of coefficient of restitution. Okay, so let's take it from that point onwards. Okay, so if this is the situation before impact, and this is the situation after impact, we have this is our first equation, which comes from conservation of momentum, and we have this equation. This comes from the definition of coefficient of restitution. Now what we'll do is we'll develop a general formula. Okay. Okay, so solving equation 1 and 2, solving for V1 and V2. Okay, assuming U1, U2 and coefficient of restitution are known. So we get this sort of general formulae. Now you don't necessarily have to remember these formulae, but if you do, then it will help you with reducing one further step while solving questions. So the formula, there is a pattern to it. I'll explain to you. Okay. It is like both the terms are some coefficient multiplied by u1 plus some coefficient multiplied by u2. So we have these four coefficients. Okay. Now, when you are taking the values of these coefficients, all of them are in a fractional form with a common denominator m1 plus m2. And the numerators are in a sort of symmetric form. This one is m1 minus e times m2. This one is m2 minus e times m1. And this is 1 plus e m2. And this is 1 plus e m1. As I said, it's not compulsory to memorize these formulae, but if you do, then it can save you a step. So this is the general formulae for head-on or 1D collision. In this, of course, E is equal to 1 is the special case of perfectly elastic collision. Where there is zero loss of kinetic energy. And E is equal to 0 is what we call perfectly inelastic, where there is the two particles stick together. So separation velocity becomes 0. Okay, now another important special case we can see here is that if E is equal to 1, that is, the collision is perfectly elastic. And the masses are equal. Okay, then we have this interesting. Yes, we'll do inelastic also. Yes, okay. Then on substituting in the formula, you can see that V1 will become U2 and V2 becomes U1. That is the exchange velocities. Most basic example of this is this one. So suppose this is happening, then after impact, you can see that actually what will happen is that because we have or similarly, we have a situation like this. Okay. Okay, so let us look at this question, which covers the three different types of head-on collisions. The perfectly elastic one, the one where there is coefficient of restitution between 0 and 1. So it is inelastic, but like partially inelastic, not perfectly inelastic. And the third one where E is equal to 0, that means the two colliding objects stick together. So the separation velocity becomes 0, or E is equal to 0. Okay. So you can solve these questions either by using the general formulae, which I have listed over here, these two formulae, or by using the fundamental concepts, which are further up, that there is conservation of linear momentum, and the definition of coefficient of restitution is that it is separation velocity divided by approach velocity. So you can use these formulae, or you can use equations 1 and 2 in either of these cases. Okay. So just try to work out this question quickly.
Sir, done. Sir, done. Done. Sir, done.
Okay, so let's check out the answers. Yes, very good, Jitesh. That's correct. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the perfectly elastic case. So here, first of all, I will substitute M1 is equal to M2 equal to 1 kg. Okay. And I will substitute U1 as plus 2 meters per second and U2 as minus 3 meters per second, and E is equal to 1. So if I go by formula method, V1 will become 1 minus 1 upon 1 plus 1 into plus 2 plus 2 into 1 upon 1 plus 1 into minus 3. So V1 will be equal to minus 3 and V2 will be equal to this. So V2 will be equal to plus 2. This is by substitution in the above formula. Okay. So this shows us now that separation velocity is 5 meters per second, whereas this showed us that approach velocity okay, so showing us that separation velocity is equal to approach velocity, and this is showing us that the final momentum is minus 1 kg meter per second and the initial momentum so it is showing us that the final momentum of the system is equal to the initial momentum, and the final kinetic energy and the initial kinetic energy okay. So once again it's showing us that not only linear momentum is conserved but also kinetic energy is conserved, and the coefficient of restitution being 1, separation velocity is equal to approach velocity. Okay, so this I have solved by the formula based method.
Yes, sir.
You can also do this by excuse me, equation method. If I go by the equations method, then I have conservation of linear momentum. Okay, and I have E is equal to 1, which means that separation velocity is equal to approach velocity, which means that VB minus VA is equal to 5 meters per second. Okay, so if I were to solve these two equations, you can see this is what I'll get. We subtract the two equations. The same as the solution that we got above. So you can go by either of these two methods. Okay. Just find a way to memorize the general formulae and substitute the values in the general formulae like I've done here. Or remember the concepts, okay, and make these two equations. This is coming from conservation of linear momentum. And this is coming from definition of coefficient of restitution. Okay, let's come to the second part where the coefficient of restitution is 0.2. So that means the separation velocity should now become 0.2 times the approach velocity, which is 5. So after collision, the velocity should be such that they are separating at 1 meter per second. Okay, so let us look at the second part. So we have so we'll substitute M1 is equal to M2 is equal to 1 kg. We'll substitute E is equal to 0.2. We'll substitute U1 as plus 2 and U2 as minus 3 meters per second. So if I go by the formula method, we have V1 is M1 minus EM2 upon M1 plus M2 U1 plus 1 plus EM2 upon M1 plus M2 into U2. So this will give us 1 minus 0.2 upon 1 plus 1 into 2 plus 1 plus 0.2 upon 1 plus 1 into minus 3. So 0.4 into 2 plus 0.6 into minus 3. So 0.8 minus 1.8. We should be getting V1 as minus 1 meters per second. And similarly, substituting in the formula for V2,
Sir,
yes,
sir, instead of remembering both the formulas, we can just remember one formula and then we will be having our linear momentum conservation, right? So we can just substitute over there. Like,
and do that also. You can just, or you can use the coefficient of restitution instead of linear momentum. One of the two equations you can use.
either way.
Yeah. Okay. So here this will become 0.6, or let me do the whole substitution for you. So 1 plus 0.2 divided by 1 plus 1 into 2 plus minus 3. Okay. So this will become 0.6 into 2 plus 0.4 into minus 3. Interestingly, I'm getting this as 0.
Yes.
So what is happening according to this is that after impact, the block A is recoiling at a speed of 1 meter per second, but the block B is remaining at rest. Okay, so you can see that the separation velocity is 1 meter per second, whereas the approach velocity okay, so you can see that separation velocity is 1/5 of approach velocity. So coefficient of restitution is 0.2. And you'll also see that the initial momentum is minus 1 kg meter per second. The final momentum is also minus 1 kg meter per second. So initial and final momentum are also the same.
Yes.
Now again, once again, instead of this formula based approach, you can also go with a conceptual approach or equations method. So if you assume that after impact, the velocities are becoming V1 and V2. So from conservation of momentum, you have 1 into 2 plus 1 into minus 3 is equal to 1 into V1 plus 1 into V2. So you have V1 plus V2 is equal to minus 1. And E is equal to 0.2 means that separation velocity is 0.2 times approach velocity, which means that V2 minus V1 is 0.2 times 5. This time we have V2 minus V1 is 1. To solve equation 1 and 2, we'll get, which is this solution basically. So we also have to calculate the collision impulse in each case. So we'll do that. Right, done. Okay, now the last part. Actually, before we come to the last part, we also have to solve the collision impulse in each case. So how do we solve for the impulse? Impulse is equal to change in momentum.
Yes, sir.
So we can use that concept. So whether we are dealing with the first part or the second part, okay, but in each part for the collision impulse. Okay, so let's do that separately. Now collision impulse. Let's understand what that is. So in this case, so this is the situation before impact. Now during impact, what is happening is that A is applying an impulse like this on B. Let's say this is the impulse on B because of A, and B is applying an equal and opposite impulse on A like this. Okay, so as vector quantities go, you can see that this is minus of this. So we have to find out how much this is. But as a result of this impulses after impact, you can see that, for example, in the A part, what was happening? This one was having a velocity of 3 in this direction, and this one was having a velocity of 2 in this direction. So using the concept that impulse equals to change in momentum. Okay, or as a vector equation is delta P. So for example, the impulse on B because of A is equal to the final momentum of B minus the initial momentum of B. So this vector equation I'll convert to a one-dimensional equation, but with sign convention. So if I write this as plus J, because it's in the positive direction, it should be equal to plus of 1 into 2 minus of 1 into minus 3. So this J will become, as you can see, 5 kilogram meter per second or 5 Newton second. If I apply this to A, the impulse on A because of B is equal to the final momentum of A minus the initial momentum of A. So as a vector, this will be minus J because it's acting in the negative direction. And the final momentum is 1 into minus 3, whereas the initial momentum was 1 into plus 2. So you can see that I have minus J is equal to minus 5, or the magnitude of impulse on each one is the same. So you can see from this that magnitude is the same, is 5 Newton second or kilogram meter per second, whatever. So this is a collision impulse in the first case. When E is equal to 1. You note this down and also calculate the collision impulse for the second case when E is equal to 0.2. Yes, that's correct. The collision impulse will be 3 Newton second. But Jinendra, on B, it should be a positive quantity. I mean, it should be along the positive x direction.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, it's changed, right? Correct.
JAB for A, it will be minus 5. So the magnitude will be 5.
Yeah, magnitude will be 5. But you're talking about the first case or second case?
First case,
Yes.
confirming it will be minus 5.
Minus?
Minus 5. Like
Yes.
with the
Yes.
direction.
Yes. Yes. Okay. The same thing here. Okay. The magnitude is 5. Okay. So with the direction, you can see it is minus 5 I cap. Here with the direction, it's plus 5 I cap. Take this as your x-axis. Okay, so second case, you should be getting the magnitude of the collision impulse as 3 kilogram meter per second. Because after impact, remember what was happening? B was coming to rest and A was recoiling at 1 meter per second.
Yes, sir.
So if you see, while they are in contact, so for A we have minus J is equal to 1 into minus 1 minus 1 into plus 2. So the magnitude of the impulse is this much. And for B we have plus J equals to so you just need to solve for one of them because you know that this is only for cross checking that we have got the answer correct. But you know the magnitude of impulse on each will be equal because this is a action reaction pair of impulses. Okay, now finally let's come to the easiest of the three parts, the perfectly inelastic collision. So remember, in a perfectly inelastic collision, what happens is that the colliding bodies stick to each other. So E is equal to 0, perfectly inelastic. That means the bodies A and B will stick together. So here you can see that if they stick together, then after impact, what will happen is they will become a combined object. But suppose we assume it has a velocity in this direction. So we have just one single equation is required because the final velocities are equal so that the separation velocity is 0. So we have so the final velocity you can see will be minus, which means it's in the opposite direction, minus of 0.2. Which means that after impact, they stick together as one object having a velocity in this direction.
Sir, MA plus MB will be 2, right?
Oh, my
It will-
mistake. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, so it will be 0.5.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it?
Minus point.
Minus 0.5. So this is 2. So you can also see from this that the collision impulse that acts So I have only solved for one of the two objects, for B. You can check it by solving for A also, but this is the value of collision impulse I'm getting, and this is the value of velocities. VA is equal to VB.
So done.
Done. Now this question is fully clear now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, another important application situation we will see of the general formulae that we were discussing earlier. If an object makes a head-on collision with another object which is at rest, okay, then depending on whether it is a lighter object or a heavier object compared to the one which is at rest, will have a behavior such that it either recoils or continues forward. So if we have, let's say, M1, which is moving at V0, and M2, which is at rest, and E is equal to 1, so perfectly elastic head-on collision. But only thing is here, U1 is V0, but U2 is 0. So what we see on substitution in the formula, you can see that V1 becomes M1 minus EM2 upon M1 plus M2 into V0, and V2 becomes 1 plus E M1 upon M1 plus M2 into V0. Okay. On substituting all this, we get this. Okay. So now from this, we can see that if M1 is less than M2, that is, the colliding body is lighter, then you will see that V1 will come out to be a negative quantity. So it recoils. And of course, V2 will be positive. Whereas on the other hand, if M1 is greater than M2, then in that case, we get V1 as a positive quantity. So it does not recoil. And of course, V2 will always be positive. So for example, suppose we have a 2 kg block moving at 1 meter per second and comes and collides with a 5 kg block at rest, and E is equal to 1. And in this case, you can see that after impact, V1 will become let's make this 3 kg. So V1 will become minus 0.2 meters per second. So this is perfectly elastic. So E is equal to 1. Recoil means reversing of direction. Yeshwardhan. Okay. That means after impact, but on the other hand, in the same thing, suppose I reverse the masses. Now I take this one as 3 kg and the one at rest initially as 2 kg. Just check out what will happen in this case. Okay, so for a perfectly elastic head-on collision with so this case corresponds to this, and this case corresponds to this. So again, where are these two formulae coming from? They are coming from the general formula. This one and this one. They are coming from these general formulae.
Yes, sir.
That V1 was M1 minus EM2 upon M1 plus M2. You just practice writing out these formulae a couple of times. You'll become used to them actually. And it's very effective to be able to use them directly in questions like this. Yes, very good, Janil. That's correct. So when you solve this part, you will see you will get V1 as this thing. You will get V1 as plus 0.2. And you'll get V2 therefore as so you can see that separation velocity final momentum And if you check out, I'm not doing the calculation, you'll see that final kinetic energy is also equal to initial kinetic energy.
Done, sir.
Done now? Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's come to next category of collisions for us. This is all about head-on collisions of two bodies. And within that head-on collisions also we've seen, you can say, three subcategories: perfectly elastic, perfectly inelastic, and general inelastic or partially inelastic. Now we come to a different category of collisions, that is collision of a body or a particle with a rigid surface, like a ball bouncing on the floor or something bounced off a surface, or like when you're playing a game of pool and one of the cue balls goes and collides with the side wall of the pool table, or you're playing carom and one of the coins collides with the side wall of the carom board. Okay. So that kind of situation. So collision of a body or a particle with a rigid surface. And what we mean over here by a rigid surface is that it is fixed. Okay, so it cannot move, fixed to the ground mostly. So once one of our colliding objects is fixed to the ground is going to absorb the momentum or the impulse that is applied because of the collision. So momentum conservation does not apply anymore. Okay. So imagine like this is a fixed wall parallel to the YZ plane. And a particle of mass m, now moving like this, it comes and impacts this wall. This is a fixed rigid wall parallel to the YZ plane. Not necessarily, Jitesh, I'll explain. Okay. All
Yes.
three cases are possible here also. Okay. Elastic, inelastic, and perfectly inelastic. All three cases are possible here also. And it all depends on the material of the colliding body. For
Yes.
example, a tennis ball bouncing off a wall will have a different kind of behavior compared to a metallic object. Okay. Or compared to a wooden block,
Yes, sir.
or compared to a soft rubber block. Like you have those crazy balls, you might have played with them as a kid or even now.
Yes, sir.
So this is a particle moving with a velocity v naught like this. So what we might observe is that after impact, so first of all, when they come in contact at that point of time, what happens is that the contact force acting between them, or the collision impulse acting, is because of a normal type of contact force, normal reaction type of contact force. So this will end up experiencing an impulse in this direction. It will be normal to the wall, and the wall will experience an equal and opposite impulse. But this is absorbed by the ground, so momentum conservation will not be applied over here. And instead, what we might observe is that after impact, this particle goes off with a velocity like this. So this is an example of what we call the normal impact, which means that the impact velocity v naught is normal to the wall. So the particle is coming in along a direction which is perpendicular to the surface of the wall. So if that happens, then it's basically again like a 1D collision, as you can see. So here you can see that v becomes the separation velocity, okay, of the particle mass m with respect to the fixed wall, whereas v naught is the approach velocity, again, of the particle with respect to the fixed wall. So v becomes e times v naught, as simple as that. So v is equal to 1. You can see that it rebounds at the same velocity or at the same speed as the impact speed, and there's conservation of kinetic energy, and separation velocity is equal to approach velocity. But if v is equal to 0, on the other hand, the object does not rebound, it just sticks to the wall. So e equal to 1, so it rebounds with zero loss of kinetic energy. And separation velocity equal to approach velocity equal to v naught. Whereas the other extreme case, if e is equal to 0, then v becomes 0. So it sticks to the fixed wall, and there is 100% loss of kinetic energy. And anything between 0 and 1, it will be a partial inelastic case.
So that means it will
Rebound, but at a speed less than v naught. No? So the kinetic energy will be not 0, but it will be something less than the initial kinetic energy, right?
it will just hit the ball and it will just hit the ball and get back on there like
Yeah, it will rebound, but with a lesser speed.
all there.
Okay, so this is now finish writing this, then we'll discuss a question based on this.
Sir, in these cases, we are just interested in normal like contact velocities, or if suppose it is at some angle, so in that case, we will be taking the component only or the others also.
Yeah, we'll discuss that also in the case of oblique collision. Okay, so next example, I mean, after we finish this case, we'll see this. So if, for example, a colliding particle comes in with a velocity like this, where it has like an angle of incidence, like theta here is like an angle of incidence. So we will see that in this case, what happens that the approach velocity is not going to be v naught. The approach velocity is going to be v naught cos theta. That is a component of v naught, which is normal to the wall. That is our approach velocity. And therefore, after the rebound I mean, after the collision, as it rebounds, it will go off in some kind of direction like this, let's say. If this angle is phi, then the separation velocity in that case will become v cos phi, not v. So that will be the normal component of. And we will have again that concept that v separation is equal to E times v approach. But anyway, that is about oblique collision. So we'll come to that. Okay, we'll discuss that in detail also. Understood the point? No?
Yes, so then after we get that phi, we can find the other component too. And then
Yes, yes. Okay, so remember the impulse acting will be normal only. During the impact, the impulse acting will be normal only. So the component of momentum which is tangential will be conserved, whereas the component of velocity which is normal will follow this pattern. That separation velocity is equal to E times approach velocity. So that's how we'll get each of the components.
Yes.
So for example, when we get into that, we will see that for E equal to 1, the collision looks like a mirror image reflection. V will be equal to V naught and phi will be equal to theta. But that is only when E is equal to 1. Otherwise, it will not look like a case where angle of reflection is equal to angle of incidence.
Yes.
Okay. Anyhow, so we'll come to that. Let's first look at an example problem based on this. Okay, so this is where you can get questions which combine concepts that you've learned in kinematics earlier. Okay, finish writing down, no problem. Just a minute. We'll go back to this. You can finish this thing first. Okay, done with this now?
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at a typical example problem. So this is some horizontal surface and from a position which is at a height of some h above, a ball of 2 kg mass is dropped onto this surface. We'll take g as 10 meters per second square and this height is 20 meters. So a ball of 2 kg is dropped from a height of 20 meters. Now after the first impact, it rises to a maximum height of let us say $16.2 meters. So first of all, find impact velocity for the first impact. The coefficient of restitution for the impact, and height achieved after the second impact, second bounce or second impact. Like it's given to us that after the first impact, the height achieved is 16.2 meters. Yes, very good, Jitesh, that's correct. Okay. So you can see in this type of question, you will have to apply the concepts of vertical motion under gravity that we discussed earlier. But along with that, you will also have to apply the concepts of collisions over here. In this case, collision of a particle or a body, in this case a ball, with a rigid surface, which is the fixed floor over here.
Done, sir.
Okay, yes, very good. Coefficient of restitution will come out to be 0.9. That's correct. Okay. And now one easy way to solve this is that if you look at the first collision, okay, started from here at u equal to 0, and just before impact, let's say it had a velocity v0. This is the first bounce. So v0 is root 2 gh. Okay. Now after this impact, okay, after this first impact, let's say because it's the first one, we'll take the velocity as v1. So this v1 should be equal to how much? It should be e times v0. Okay. And then it comes up to a maximum height of some h1, let's say, where velocity becomes 0 again. Okay. So first thing we can see is that v0 is equal to root 2 gh. So that will become 20 meters per second. That's the first thing. Now second, we need to calculate E. So we can see that V1 is EV0. So it's 20E. And this H1 will be V1 square by 2G. So we have 16.2. This is equal to 20E whole square divided by 2 into 10. So you can see that 16.2 is 20E square. So from this we can see that E square. So that's how we'll get the coefficient of restitution. Yes, Jitesh, that's correct. So you see that E square we are getting as how much? 0.81, or E is equal to 0.9. So this also means that V1, which is EV0, is equal to 20 into 0.9. So 18 meters per second. This is the velocity after the first impact.
Yes, sir.
Now we can see that the maximum height achieved after the first impact, this will be V1 square by 2G. So this will be 18 square by 2 into 10. So that is 18 into 18 by 20. So that is 1.8 by 2. So you'll climb to a maximum height of 16.2 meters after the first impact. Then incidentally, the second impact that happens, the ball will be hitting the ground with V1, the second bounce. And after that impact, it will have a velocity V2, which is E times V1. Okay. So it will go to a maximum height of V2 square by 2G. So that will become 0.81 times H1. So, you know, they'll follow a series like this. H was 20 meters. So H1 is E square into 20, so 16.2 meters. Then H2 will be E square into H1. And H3 will be E square into H2, like that. So after the nth impact, this is the kind of series, okay. It will follow this kind of geometric progression. After the nth impact, the velocity of separation will become e to the power n times the initial impact velocity, whereas the maximum height will become e to the power 2n times. Okay. All right, people. So with this, we'll conclude today's session. Next lecture, we will look at the oblique collision of a particle with a rigid surface. Okay. So the physical example of that is, instead of a bouncing ball from a height, there's a projectile which keeps bouncing like this. So each of the collisions is an example of an oblique collision between a rigid floor and a particle or a body. So we'll look at how to solve that kind of situation also. And then we'll move on to oblique collisions of two moving bodies instead of collision of a particle with a rigid surface.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you please solve the third sum of HC Verma? I was trying center of mass, but it was not happening.
Okay, just send it to me in the WhatsApp. I will help you with a hint or a doubt. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that's it for today's session, people. Wish you all the best.
Sir,
Yes.
I have sent a question to you on WhatsApp.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Just send me another message as a reminder. I'll take a look at that.
Sir, can you send the notes
Okay,
of the
sir.
last lecture and this lecture?
Yes, I will send the notes of both the lectures together.